And now for the tale of the tape in this heavyweight showdown between the Greenskins, who shall be led by a Night Goblin Warboss, and the Dwarves, who are going to be helmed by a Rune Lord. But man, look at this build. 3 Iron Drakes, the Flamethrower variant, of course, and he does also have a Trollhammer Torpedo and a Gyrocopter, so things are going to get pretty wild. It's almost like both of us had an unspoken agreement in this game. Like, I did not bring a traditional Greenskin anti-dwarf army, which is just spamming Black Orcs and, Squigs and all kinds of stuff, and just swarming with mass armor piercing. And he actually brought some stuff that's going to be fairly useful against the Goblins. So he does have some Iron Drakes here, which, they're going to be able to roast some very lightly armored Night Goblins and things like that. So, man, I'm really excited to show you guys this game. It was extremely fun, very back and forth. And I think without further ado, let's get this show on the road. It was pretty long, so I'm just going to talk about the builds as we go. So for my build, I have a combination of standard Night Goblins. Of course, both of the regiments are renowned in the front line. A couple of Night Goblin Archers in the back. We do also have Durkit Squigs and a standard group of Night Goblin Squig Hoppers. A very good choice. Bonus for infantry, armor piercing, poison. Has a lot of good tools against the Dwarves. In the back, to try and force the Dwarves out of their shell and pull them into my Goblin game of just kind of fighting all over the map, I do have 2 of the Goblin Rock Clobbers. So I have the Hammer of the Gork, and a Goblin Rock Clobber here. And for my leadership, I have a Night Goblin Shaman. I'm not going to be using Vindictive Glare. I do have the Curse at a Bad Moon, which is just so much fun to use against Dwarves. Typically I miss with it, but it's still very fun. But look at this Aerocrastic coming back here with the Gyrocopter Bomb right out of the gates. The Trolls are going to go stand there and look menacing. I just thought he might dive it with the Gyrocopter, so I wanted to bring the Trolls back. But in the meantime, my Morgub's Manging Marauders, who are super out of position, are coming from across the battlefield. I actually had them like vanguarded over here, are going to be jumping in to chase those guys. Anyways, on top of that, 2 groups of Trolls, so I just figured, I'm like, hey, if I can pull this into just an open field brawl and just go fisticuffs, maybe the Trolls will be good, but they're really going to suffer against that fire damage from the Iron Drakes. On top of that, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I have Nasty Skulkers all over the map, so I have 2 here. I have some Wolf Riders back here. I have a Nasty Skulkers going up and around here, so it's very much going to be a game of cat and mouse. The classic quintessential dwarf matchup of like the dwarfs just trying to sniff out the goblin schemes before they can be executed, which is just glorious stuff. Anyways, Gyrocopters do take some damage here. You can see for his army, he does have the Gyrocopter. He has 3 of the Iron Drakes, a bunch of Dwarf Warriors and Miners. He does have Trollhammer Torpedoes and 1 elite group of Hammers. So I don't know how you would deal with Black Orcs in this particular army. I mean, he does have the Hammers as well as a couple Dwarf Warriors, and 3 Thunders would probably be his best bet, plus the Goblobber. So he has pretty good answers. It's a well-rounded army. I think he would definitely be able to deal with Black Orcs. But if you are watching Aerocrastic, I would love to see like how this army in your past experience has performed against very like traditional competitive greenskin lists. The Goblobber right here is going to be throwing some Goblobbins, lobbing some gobs over at the Goblins, and doing a little bit of work. Yeah, it looks like it hits the Warlord's boys, but I am able to fend off the Gyrocopter, which is a nice early catch. And in the meantime, just trying to get in position. You can see the Nasty Skulkers just kind of circling around the map, just waiting for those openings. But Aerocrastic, of course, ever the savvy veteran here, does have his Miners and plenty of troops in reserve, and playing Dwarves as I should be playing, very much like an onion. So even if I was to jump on these Thunders right here, I would be taking crossfire from all of these different units. But my Goblobbers are actually doing some pretty good damage, or the Rock Lobbers, Goblin Rock Lobbers, Goblobbers, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. Rock Lobber's doing some pretty good damage against the Thunders here, so of course want to focus on the guns, because the rest of the Dwarf army I felt like I could pull apart or cycle charge to death, so I really need to finish off the guns here. But you can see, man, the Hammer of Gork doing a pretty good job here against these Thunders. In the back, the Goblin Wolf Riders, I thought about going in and just doing an attack there, but he did see me at the last second as I sweeped in, and he is going to be pulling back the Miners, so yeah, Goblin Wolf Riders probably can't beat Miners in melee, so their armor piercing is just far too low. So what I'm going to be doing is grabbing these Nasty Skulkers, I'm going to send them in against these guys, I'm going to pull the Wolf Riders up and around and try and get that artillery piece. Both of our armies definitely taking some damage. The Miners here taking some fire from the Archers, and when they did get a little bit ahead of their friends here, I'm going to be charging into some Night Goblins, trying to butter their bread, but alas, I have fallen for the great Dawi trap, and the Goblins are going to be scurrying back to the hills, and let's see how much damage this does. So this is 2 volleys here, as well as Thunderfire. It actually doesn't do as much as you would think, but yeah, man, they should do way more damage than that. But anyways, it does tank the leadership. There's a discourage effect there, which isn't bad, so he does fend me off, and I think if I kept charging, it would have melted me pretty bad. In the meantime, Nasty Skulkers do charge in back here, but Aerocrastic is savvy to this trap, and I'm going to be running back to the hills, just taking massive volleys of Thunderfire, and Nasty Skulkers have no capabilities of mitigating that missile fire. Of course, they only have 15 armor, so, I mean, not that the armor piercing is going to be huge there, but yeah, a little bit of punishment. Anyways, these Miners definitely took a lot of damage, but I think I'm taking the brunt of it. However, I did also get a lot of damage off in the Gyrocopters. Morgub's Manging Marauders doing a really good job, but he has been doing bombing runs with my poor little Goblins back here, and I still do have 2 of the crew members, but very good play here with the Gyrocopters fending off my artillery. The ones on the other side are taking fire from his own artillery, which do have that leadership penalty, of course. You can see here they have the Discourage. So very, very good stuff against low leadership units like Goblins. So his army's advancing, keeping that very, very tight onion. I'm going to be falling back, trying to get a bit of a concave around him. I don't want to take these square engagement. I mean, Dwarf Warriors, Miners, Hammers, also the Rune Magic coming in from the Rune Lord. None of that's going to be great. So just trying the Goblin schemes, trying to draw him out and get some troops to chase over here, for example, so the Trolls can isolate them. And it looks like we might finally be able to get rid of this Gyrocopter. One of them actually did crash and burn, and Gyrocopters are expensive. expensive. They cost about 800 gold, give or take, I think, with the brimstone guns. So the fact that we're able to get that off the battlefield is going to be a nice little grab for us. But a lot of our guys are taking damage. I'm trying to find opportunities to like penetrate his defenses. And finally, we do have a little bit of an overextension here as the Iron Drakes do push forward. That opens up the back line for the nasty Skulkers to come in. Since these guys, it's like a game of chess. So the Dirked Squigs are going to be leaping in here, but the Dwarves do have some reinforcing Dwarf Warriors who should be able to put up an okay fight. But this is great. I mean, Iron Drakes aren't a cheap unit, so we're able to jump on those guys. We should be able to, I don't know if we're going to be able to break him. He has too many supporting elements nearby. But in the back, we get a really nice timing. So you can see the nasty Skulkers are able to jump on top of these Thunders. We get the smoke bomb to slow them down so they can't pull back. They now have 7 speed, and we're going to be getting some pretty mean prison shanks here. Goblin Warfighters do a charge back here and knock off the cannon crew, or the Goblopper crew, so we're able to do that. And then we bounce back onto the Thunders here. Nasty Skulkers pushing in here, they're pushing in here, and we get some really good engagements. However, you know, the Dwarves are going to be a little bit tough against the fire, so they're not too worried about the roasting, but my Nasty Skulkers taking massive leadership penalties from the Iron Drake, so if anything, they're doing a very good job at punishing the leadership of my troops, and that did some pretty good HP damage as well. However, I think it was mostly the Thunders who did the really good work. In the meantime, my Dirked Squigs do get hit with the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin. Very, very good play there. Very good use of that spell. We were able to temporarily shut down the Iron Drakes, but it looks like they're going to be back online with their supporting Dwarf Warriors. That Master Rune, just such punishment. But the Trolls did pile in. The Trolls actually did some really good damage and beat down those Miners in the meantime because there's just pandemonium in the back line. So I was like, all right, it's time. The Trolls are going to be sent in. I mean, they're getting roasted by fire, which is, I guess, their lore counter. So it kills them in lore. And we get some really good damage. So the Trolls are going to be drooling and kicking these Dwarves. Typically, Trolls are a pretty bad pick against Dwarves, but you know what? I think if you're using like a crazy Goblin build like this, you can make them work if you're able to pull things apart. So there's some Sparta Kick coming down, doing some pretty good work. The Iron Drake's pretty much offline, so we were able to get a really good gold grab there. In the meantime, my Trolls on the other side tried to sneak in. I was a little bit off in my timing. I thought I had enough disruption with the Squigs in the back line causing problems. We were able to break off a Thunderer here and another one, so we did kill 2 full groups of Thunders essentially. One of them probably is going to rally and still be effective. But my Trolls over here just got ravaged. They just got straight up roasted. They got put on like a Christmas spit, just spun, roasted. You know, Hawaiian feast style, definitely not fun for those guys. So Night Goblin Squig Hoppers here are going to be getting chased off by the Thunders, as well as a little bit of supporting fire from the Iron Drakes. But the battle's very close. If anything, maybe a small advantage for the Dwarves, though they're typically ahead on the bounce power in these Goblin games anyways, initially. Skulkers are going to be skulking in the shadows and looking for opportunities. I'm going to be using this group here to chase off these Thunders here, trying to get them off the map. And yeah, it's pretty damn close. We should be able to shatter those guys. And from there, the bounce power kind of normalizes a little bit, but he still has this very angry group of Thunders. But again, the Trolls are going to be very good against Thunders. On top of that, you can kind of wear them down through attrition. They don't have the best melee defense, so if you surround them with Goblins, you should be able to take them out. Right here, we do have some Night Goblins going to be jumping on these guys who did overextend a little bit, so these Trollhammer Torpedoes are going to be taking a little bit of damage, but in their defense, they have 125 armor, and you know, they're pretty damn tanky, so it's going to be tough. These Goblins definitely not up to the task here. But the little war boss that could is going to be jumping in there with the Squig, trying to feast here. And, you know, I've had a little bit of a tough time using the wand, like, because I haven't had any, like, straight engagements. It's been little skirmishes, so I'm like, when should I use it? I've been saving it in the back pocket. Maybe I should have used it earlier. I think I actually did in that initial engagement. I can't remember. But anyways, Nasty Skulkers have gotten into the cookie jar yet again, but they do get kind of bogged up by some of these Miners. And the Thunder is getting that really juicy Overwatch fire. Skulkers trying to sneak in again, but Aerocrastic definitely on his guard here. He does have the Dwarf Warriors just waiting for these guys. Iron Drakes are going to be turning around. I'm pretty sure I was like force pathing through, but look at the Goblins just getting roasted by the Iron Drakes. And man, these Iron Drakes this game have actually been doing pretty good. I mean, against like a mass Goblin build, that is very, very punishing. So right here, these guys are just getting incinerated by the Iron Drake fire. Hopefully you guys appreciate those juicy cinematics. And another very nice volley coming into my Rusty Arrows who are not out of ammo. So I'm just having to like throw everything I have at him. I'm pretty much like out of traditional resources. My artillery pieces in the back are out of ammo. My archers are out of ammo. And, you know, I was really hoping that I could kind of pull him apart a little bit more and force him forward with the artillery, but he was actually able to endure that, largely due to the gyrocopter play, which was very cool. Night Goblin Warboss was able to jump on the Iron Drakes back here and get a little bit of a snack for his Squig, but alas, I'm going to be forced off by the Hammers. And yeah, it looks like the Morgav's Major Marauders and some of these standard, not standard Night Goblins, it looks like it's the AP Cloonies. We're all pulled back, so the Dwarf army is very much in tatters. So is my army, though. We're both very beat up at this point. It's been very much a game of cat and mouse, like I said. We have some Squigs here. Over here in the hills, we have a bunch of Goblins hiding and waiting and scheming and looking for opportunities to slip into these Dwarven defenses. Thunder's here. He does have 2 groups left. Iron Drake's here, pretty much offline. But he has a couple healthy groups of Iron Drakes over here. Looks like these ones are healthy, and these guys still have 17 models of their starting 21, so in pretty good shape. But my archers are going to be shooting in, trying to pick off a couple models here, and going to be dropping, I believe, a Curse of the Bad Moon. I mean, I just had so much Winds of Magic and didn't really have too much to do with it, so I dropped there, complete failure, but it does look pretty cool. I think in the late end, I end up getting a pretty good one over here on the Hammers. I'm not sure, but anyways, we're going to do some fast forwarding as there is some posturing. Dwarf Army is going to be moving forward. Iron Drake's on the far side, going to be roasting to AP Cloonies here. And right now I'm just going to be charging in with these guys. I saw an opportunity to shut down and potentially get some decent damage on these guys and the other Iron Drakes. So I was like, let's do it. Let's charge in there, cause some disruption, buy some time for my guys in the back to get in there. But at the end of the day, he probably came out a little bit ahead there. So Squigs from the flank, the Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, going to be jumping in yet again up to a whopping 23 kills. And in the front line, I figured I was a little bit out of range here, but alas, I did not see him scoot forward these Iron Drakes. And the Trolls coming in for just a little bit of a beat squad, but the Trollhammer Torpedoes, Thunders, just everyone just gunning those guys down. So I think this was a huge blunder on my part. I actually thought for some reason they were a little bit further back. My orientation was off. I was actually playing like really high up in the skies there, but so I did not notice that. Anyways, I was able to get these Night Goblin Squigs right here and get these Iron Drakes, but Aerocrastic doing a really good job just having that inexorable advance, pushing his forces forward and slowly roasting my Trolls and other supporting elements here. I have the Rusty Arrows coming back, a little bit of ammo left on this Goblin Rock Lobber. It does have 30 kills, 2 shots left, and I have some Gobbos in the back coming in. These are just standard Night Goblins, so they're probably not going to make it too far, but at the very least they do have Silver Shields, so here they come. They're going to be forcing the Thunders back, which is good. If I can get in melee, that'll be even better, but a very good Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin is going to be slowing these guys down, and I do pop a wall right here, so I had some Squigs coming in on the side, and I do finish off these Iron Drakes, hoping to push forward with the Skulkers, and in the back you can see these Night Goblins are trying to sneak around. I believe I was able to kill his crew, so the Goblobber crew, or at least we pushed them off. I can't remember where they went, but it looks like they're still healthy somewhere on the map. I think he's hiding them. The Skulkers have gotten in, the wall being popped, giving them that speed bonus. Miners coming in as well. Just a very messy fight as these Dwarf Warriors are going to be falling back. And the Iron Drakes are going to be shooting downtown. I mean, still generating that really good value, and the range definitely a little bit underrated. That 80 range just feels so long. So the Trolls engage in a bit of a last stand here. I figured I was like, yeah, I have the Iron Drakes here. Let's fight. Let's get in there, try and rally them. But yeah, the Troll thing did not work out too well in the end game here. But again, I was a little bit sloppy, but I had no ranged tools left. So I kind of had to go in there and fight. I mean, I obviously just don't want to draw kite around the map and do that style of play, of course. So I didn't really have too many options. I had to get in there and fight, but maybe I should have just committed all the other Goblins first, like every single one, and then brought the Trolls in. I think that would have been a little bit better, but you know, what's really tough is he still has his full health group of Hammerers here, which I've just kind of been kiting the entire game, trying not to engage at square. And yeah, some Goblins here doing a pretty good job. These are the Warlords boys. They're not unbreakable, but they do have armor sundering, so we do get on top of the Iron Drakes and the Flamethrowers here and get a little bit of damage. And yeah, look at this. Just Goblins rallying everywhere. It's just straight madness. So my War Boss is going to be jumping in. He does get a little juicy engagement here on the Iron Drakes. Looks like he's able to maybe chip down a model, but the Master Rune of Negation is going to be going down. Tormentor Sword also popped to lower the melee attack of the nearby troops, but it doesn't really matter too much against these guys. I was just trying to mitigate their offensive stats however I could. And the Night Goblin Shaman is going to be popping Spite at a Bad Moon, or I think that was popped by my Night Goblin War Boss, giving them some juicy missile resist. And Goblins are just swarming in from all flanks right now. So the Goblins being called from the mountains, being roasted by Iron Drakes, intercepted by Dwarf Warriors, but one of them does squeak through here. It's going to be getting in to these guys in the back, jumping on top of the Thunders, but the bounce power is just ebbing slowly out of my favor. The Jawi attrition really playing into effect here. The Goblobber crew fighting in melee against the Warlord's boys. I mean, just a massive pit fight. And the Squig Hopper is going to be very good against Rune Lord in just straight combat, but I don't want to sit and fight him because the Hammerers are here, and it's hammer time indeed. These guys are doing a beautiful job against my troops. We got some Fanatics coming in. Look at the Fanatics just going through these Thunders, actually doing some pretty good damage as they do kind of spin there. And you can see the Iron Drakes in the back still shooting in, trying to roast the Fanatics. And it's looking like it's going to be doom and darkness here for the Goblins, as the last of their troops are going to be fighting the Squig Lord, the proud Squig Master, going to be fighting, just working on these Iron Drakes, bouncing back and forth between targets, trying to jump on the Rune Lord, but it looks like the Iron Drake fire is just going to be too much for the little Goblins. Curse at a Bad Moon is going to be going down as well, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The Goblins have had enough, and you know what? The Goblins have, they have a numbers advantage. They have population. They're going to go hide in the mountains, come back in greater numbers, although deep down I'm very happy the Dwarves won because I like the Dwarves a lot more than the Goblins. But yeah, well played to Aerocrastic. It was a super fun game. We both brought really unorthodox builds, and it made for a very interesting match. I mean, not bringing the traditional Black Orc and Squigs and just swarming with pure efficiency, because Iron Drakes do pretty much no damage to Black Orcs. I mean, it does punish their leadership a little bit, but yeah. I mean, he could have maybe kited me out a little bit. He did have 4 Thunders plus the Rune Lord. I mean, he had some ample tools for defense, but I'm quite curious how this build would do against a traditional, like, competitive greenskin build, but yeah, anyways, yeah, the Goblin build was pretty good, actually. I think it made for a close game. There was a couple points. I think the big thing was when I screwed up with the Trolls and sent them in. I was hoping to push in and pull back, or maybe just not get in range of his weapons, but he was able to do a really good job and just focus down my Trolls, and I think that was the straw that broke the Goblins' back. So very well played to Aerocrastic. That was an awesome game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that Greenskin vs. Dwarf showdown. And while we're here, for anyone who wants to know if you are playing Greenskins against the Dwarves, I'll show you kind of a more traditional build against the Dawi. That would be pretty efficient here. So we'll go to custom battles. We'll do this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and let's find it here. And yes, good. So you can use Azag. Personally, I think that Warzog is going to be a pretty good choice. You can put him on the bacon, gives him some mobility. And from here, yeah, the Fist of Gork does imbue magical damage, which is a little bit unfortunate. So you can even just use like Ere We Go, and you could use some of like the Brain Burster effects. I definitely think he's the best because of the Bonewood Staff. So you just want to be spamming cheap spells. The Squiggly Beast is okay. I guess we could afford that. And from here, the Warpaint is kind of useful. The Miscast Chance, you want to get rid of that. And I think that's okay for now. So for the rest of the spells, I don't know if Fist of Gork is worth it. I think the magic damage against dwarves is going to be punished. You could get like a Brain Buster, and then you can get like the Gaze of Mork or something. That's going to give you plenty of cycles for the Bonewood Staff. From here, you just want to go like Heavy Metal into Black Orcs. You can even get Crimson Killers, but typically they do get focused down by the Rune of Wrath and Ruin. And from here, you can bring some archer units. You can mix in some like Rustiers and things like that. You could even mix in a couple of Skulkers on the flanks here. And they're going to be followed up. You can even just go like crazy with Squig Herds if you want to. They're going to be pretty good. Yeah, just like following up the Squig Herds on the flanks is really tough. I mean, Squigs can definitely do some work with their armor piercing bonus for infantry. Although Squig Hoppers might be a little bit of a better pick. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can go about this, but for the most part, it's just kind of a headstrong, aggressive build here. And yeah, you're going to need some backline harass and stuff like that. So I think we're just going to go with the Squig Hoppers for now and probably cut the little Squiggies. And we can even cut one Black Orc and just get a little bit of width to our army. So from here, I think we want Nasty Skulkers just to kind of pressure the flanks. A lot of Dwarf players defend artillery pieces and side flanks with miners, and Nasty Skulkers can actually sneak up on miners if they don't have blasting charges and do some pretty good work. And from there, I mean, Black Orcs are going to be pretty good against Slayers and whatnot. It's really just tough for Dwarf players to handle this type of pressure. And you probably want to keep it honest a little bit and just have some tools against like Gyrocopter play and things like that. So we're just going to go with that for now. And we do need some backline harass, like some traditional like Forest Goblin type stuff would probably be fine, to be honest. So we can cut these guys. I'm almost tempted to go down to 4 Black Orcs just to afford a little bit more harass. But I think with this, something like this, you're probably going to be in good shape. You could even mix in Death's Creepers to get another missile unit to poke down Slayers. But really, Slayers are going to struggle heavily against Black Orcs. And they don't want to be fighting Skulkers either. They have a high model count. They have decent damage output. So something like this is going to be very efficient against Dwarves. So again, very well played in my opponent, Aerocrastic. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that Goblin versus Dwarf, Iron Drake, Troll, Goblin game. Quite a bit of fun. We will see you guys next time. Take care.